Welcome to Holy Smokes.
Holy smokes.
Holy Smokes.
Did you hit record?
Yeah, it's recording.
Okay.
It's recording. My name is Justin Stroop, and this is the Duke,
The Duke.
Senor Eberhart.
It's been a little bit since I've been here.
Oh, I just looked at the timestamp of the last recording was a month ago.
Oh.
Was a month ago. Yeah, we've had a lot going on, and it'll be it'll be 3 weeks before our next recording
Okay.
because I'll be gone for 8 days on vacation starting Saturday.
Very nice.
Yeah, so 2 Sundays will be gone. But yeah, I'm excited about the topic tonight. For those of you guys who have been tuning in, we just got done with our Galatians study, and that was a freaking awesome study. I was super happy with it.
Absolutely loved it.
I'm even more if I was ecstatic about Galatians, I am probably 10 times more ecstatic about Exodus.
Yes.
Exodus is one of those things where you read and you're like, oh, there's some pretty cool stories, some really weird stuff happened, God scared some people on top of a mountain. It was a wonderful time. But when you start getting into the depths of it and how the historicity, the historical aspect of it actually was there and what it means and how we actually find, like, they're actually unearthing, who was it that told me there's some archaeologists that just unearthed in what is known as it was the Red Sea at that moment, but they called it the Reed Sea, but it was the Red Sea. They've unearthed thousands upon thousands of chariots.
Yes.
That would have been dated back to the original army that Pharaoh took to try and get the children of Israel after they left Egypt. It's just insane how the longer we live, the more the Bible just proves itself. It's so cool. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about what we're smoking, what we're drinking, because this is the Holy Smokes.
Yes, it is.
So what are you smoking and drinking?
So I have I go to a package store.
A package store.
Since we're in the great state of Georgia.
Correct.
Called the West Side Bottle Shop. It's out there in Athens. They have created their own brand of cigars. Called El Arco.
El Arco.
For the Arch.
Is this West Side?
It's West Side.
Yeah.
So West Side does it. They're great little smokes.
Are they?
Yeah. I mean, they're kind of they're
fantastic price. It's like $6 or $7 a piece.
Oh yeah, $6-7 a piece. You can buy a brick for under 100. I mean,
wow.
You get 18 cigars for like $30-50.
Oh, it's the fact that it's local too. Like, these people are they actually rolling it here?
They're not rolling it here. I don't know what factory they've used, but it's kind of the program where you can go and start creating your own.
Okay.
And they've had a pretty good humidor, pretty good selection there anyway.
Okay. So they're probably like purchasing them from like Miami or something like that. One of these overrun type things.
I think it's I think they were using overruns, and now they actually have their own because they have
cool.
The 5 or 6 different shapes. They have a couple different styles. There's a Reserva. There's one that's just the El Arco, and they have another one. It's basically a red, white, and a black label.
I've seen them because the one out near Hull, near Danielsville.
Yes,
they've got a really good humidor. They've got all the My Father stuff that you could ever imagine. It's so cool. But I grabbed a couple really good tatuajes out there too that you can't find tatuajes anywhere.
You can't find them.
But they had all I saw were the Churchill and the Gordo and the Robusto.
Okay.
But I didn't see it. Like, I really would love to see them do a Perfecto.
Okay. Yeah.
If they did that shape, I love smoking Perfecto.
Perfecto's the little torpedo, is that right?
Yeah. It's tapered on both ends. It's the hardest cigar to fold or to roll.
Okay, I'll look at West Side for you.
See if they have them.
Because they usually have most of like all of their different style shapes.
Yeah.
And like I said, I know they've got 3 different band colors.
Sweet.
So, and I'm a UGA fan, so you
heard that.
Support local.
Absolutely, the UGA Arch. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are you drinking?
This is Atlanta hard cider. So it's Atlanta Beer Company.
Oh,
it's their hard, crisp apple hard cider.
Yes. Oh man, I could drink those all day.
Summertime.
Yeah.
So all of the peaks, and the El Arcos are kind of a nice. It's a medium all the way around. It's a light draw, medium flavor, like not real spicy.
Well, you have to light it up while I'm doing mine and tell me what it's like. By the way, just so you know, we're not dying in here. If you see us pouring sweat, one, it's because we're beautiful and chubby.
Yes.
Don't body shame me.
It's extra insulation.
And it's hot as balls in the shop. It is so hot in this shop. It is it's funny because I thought it was never gonna get hot because remember how that like 2 or 3 cold snaps
Oh,
in
yeah.
May and then the beginning of June.
I was gonna say it was freezing in May.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, maybe we'll have a mild. Nope.
No.
The sun decided to come in all of its force. So I'm trying something completely new tonight. I've never tried. So this is technically Oscar Valadares. So I've had a couple of his things, but not a whole lot. This is the Leaf, and if you can see this, it's literally it looks like a leaf. I don't even know how to cut this thing. How are you supposed to? It's got a pigtail on it. How do you cut that?
I'm almost thinking
You just cut it. Maybe
either cut it or see if you can like lift the pigtail.
Maybe I lift the.
Ha.
Okay. All right. So you rip off the pigtail.
That's like pulling the pin on the grenade, I'm afraid.
I'm gonna give a. I hope not. I hope it didn't just start unrolling. But it looks to me like there's no cover wrap.
Yeah, that's
There's no, yeah, and I think that's maybe the idea of it is that there's supposed to be so much flavor within the leaf and the filler and the binder, that it's good. But I've heard people that swear by them. Someone try it. This is called Leaf by Oscar Valadares. It's their 10th anniversary. Criollo. I don't speak Spanish.
Yep.
Don't judge me. And then I also made a good whiskey sour out of some Remedy Distillery Bourbon. If you've never had Remedy Distillery, they're incredible. They hail from downtown Flowery Branch. Go check them out. They don't know that we're giving them kudos because they won't answer my emails, but that's neither here nor there. One day they'll answer. We also want to give a shout out to Second City Beverage Company because they do support the show, have supported the show, and we love their products. They've got good products between whiskey, bourbon, flavored whiskeys, and bourbon, and they've got an incredible line of whiskey creamers, coffee creamers. They're really good. Oh, that smells fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, it smells really good. All right, well, I'm going to give this thing a cut, a choppy chop. And let's see what she's like. I'm really nervous. I'm cutting this thing and it's just going to fall apart. Because that's kind of the idea of having a cover.
So what kind of bourbon creams does Second City carry?
So
we
they've
haven't
got
really talked about those yet.
Yeah, they've got some good ones. They got a peanut butter that actually I still have some in the back of my fridge. It's been in there for forever, so I don't know if that works. Like if that's okay. I know there's whiskey in there, but I don't know if the cream lasts forever.
Yeah, it's been in the fridge.
It's probably fine.
Yeah. Whiskey kills everything.
Amen. They've got a chocolate, they've got a peanut butter, they've got a butter pecan.
Okay. Yes, sir.
They've got a caramel, and I think they've got a basic, like it's either like a vanilla or like a regular creamer.
Just a regular creamer.
Very interesting. But they're and they're sweet. Like I could put it in a cup and just drink it.
Sure.
Oh, so good.
Have you ever had Sweet Lucy's?
Mm-mm.
It's a Sweet Lucy's bourbon cream. It's made by Privet. So, because everybody loves the Baileys and coffee and
Oh yeah.
yeah, and you I mean just Baileys or Baileys on ice cream. Bailey goes on anything.
I put that stuff on everything.
I put that stuff on everything. We went. My wife and I like to go to Cotton Calf.
Oh yeah.
Up in Brazelton.
Well, I'm glad you can afford it. It's fantastic food.
It is fantastic food. Now I say we like to go there. We like to go there. We don't go there often. But it's one of our favorites. We were there a while back, and I was kind of in the mood for a Bailey's and coffee. We were just kind of having it was our anniversary night.
Oh yeah.
And the server at the time went, I know you. I'm not going to get you Bailey's. I'm going to get you something better if you trust me. And I was like, I've known you now long enough that I trust you. Wow. So this entire meal.
Yeah.
And they brought out Sweet Lucy's. They said try it and see if you like it. So it was very good.
So this is interesting because there is a ton of flavor. Very floral. It's got a lot of flowery, grassy notes in it,
Ooh,
which is
yeah.
usually not what you get with a filler and a binder.
Sure.
You'll get, believe it or not, 80% of your flavor in your cigar come from the wrapper.
Really?
If you don't believe me, take one of your cigars, peel back the wrapper the best you can. Peel back the wrapper to about a third of the way up.
Okay.
Smoke it, and then once you hit the wrapper, you'll know
Get
why.
the flavor.
You get all the flavor. I'm telling you, it's incredible. But this is amazing. So I guess they've just kind of taken maybe some of the wrapper. Maybe that's what this is. It's like wrapper leaf that they've actually just kind of created as the binder.
Or is it? Yeah, either that or just kind of a rough.
I mean, it's not falling apart. Maybe they just make it look this way.
I was gonna say maybe just
Maybe it is wrapper.
and maybe they because like the difference between a wrapper and a binder leaf is just how the leaf looks.
Yeah.
And
They make it look like a binder.
Yeah, they make it look like a binder, just kind of rough cut leaves.
It's good.
No stone unturned. We're not there. That's their. We're not making waste.
Yeah. Like but I dig that.
Sure.
Like I can tip my hat to that.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Smells well, tastes well.
I mean, but it's weird because I would think when I cut it, I was like, please don't fall apart, please don't fall apart, please don't fall apart. And it's not. And it's smoking pretty nicely. It's got a good even burn so far. But anyways, we could talk about stogies all night. We're gonna jump into Exodus. So just out of curiosity, right out the gate, what is your experience? Maybe before this study, or did you do the full study with us?
Yes.
Okay. So before the Exodus study, what was your opinion? What was your thoughts on Exodus itself?
The weird thing, and Brandon and I talked about this while we were going through the study in groups. I had a little more in depth knowledge and stuff. His kind of came from little the Charlton Heston Moses days.
That's correct.
Which is just fantastic to talk to him about.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of knowledge of some of the big high points, but it was always one of those. I grew up in the Episcopal Church. It was Exodus was I will say it was a fable that led to Christ.
Oh,
it was, I mean, obviously book of the Bible.
Yeah,
I don't want to downplay it like fable, but it was a story you knew. We didn't dive into it very much.
Yeah.
So really being able to dive into it in groups, and you see a lot of the prophecy and a lot of the stuff that's set up ahead of time for the coming of Christ, and really the whole entire story of the New Testament.
Right.
Of how a lot of that's set up and a lot of the principles is set up in Exodus.
100%.
It's more than just because it really was like it was a fable of like, hey, this happened. Here's a story for you. Because we have to tell you this so you understand how we got to where we are. And it's no, that's who we are and why we are because a lot of what happened in Exodus.
Yep.
So
I think the thing that got me before I even started studying was I listened to a sermon. And one of the pastors on a sermon made a comment. He said, "We need not come toward Exodus with the belief that this is a far off people in a far off land at a far off time for a far off purpose."
Ooh.
He said, "This is our heritage. This isn't just Jewish heritage. This is where the church, the Christian faith, this is where we come from."
Sure.
That's where Christ, bore Christianity out of. And so when we read Exodus, it's important for us to recognize Exodus is a story, not even a story, an account of our people. And a time that applies to us, and in history, and in the way in which things went about, and for the purpose ultimately of us.
Yeah.
And so we just got done, or historically toward the end of Genesis, we will have just finished the story of Joseph. You know, Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat. Throwing it back, Donny Osmond. You're welcome.
Gotta love it.
But it's still raining a little bit. Okay. But we would have just got done talking about how, you know, God used Joseph throughout the land of Egypt, made him a number 2 in command of the world, brought him to this point of leadership, and then allowed the Jewish people to settle in Egypt, in the land of Goshen. So this is kind of where we're going to pick up, and we'll get as far as we can get tonight. This is one of those things where I had intended when we first got through this to start like, well, this is going to be a 7-week study. And, you know, we were like 12 weeks in and almost done.
Yeah, I think it took us 12 or 13 weeks to get through it.
It was nuts.
Because we started, I think, a week ahead of you, and then we ended up, I think, a week or two behind you.
Yeah.
So, it took a while. It was good, though.
Well, if you guys hear some wonderful background noise, I'm about to wave at Noah's Ark as it passes. The rains came down and the floods came up.
Speaking of fables, well, this is not the kind of weather to be displeasing to God.
No, we're gonna do them right, and we're gonna talk about Exodus. So we're gonna try and go through as much of chapters probably 1, 2, and 3 tonight as we can. But because it's a massive book, I think it's got like 50 or 40 something chapters. Just know that we're gonna not jump around, but we're going to move through things and hit high points at a rapid pace.
Sure.
So it's thundering a little bit. Lord, we hear you. So just some notes before we jump into Exodus. So Joseph, we talked about Joseph. He was in the land. He passed away, and several pharaohs later, you know, the children of Israel have been in Egypt for close to, they wouldn't have been called the children of Israel yet, but the people, Joseph's family, would have been settled in the land of Goshen for about 425 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a good bit of time. So many pharaohs have come and gone, and they've forgotten the promises and the history of Joseph.
Okay.
And so they looked upon these people, and they enslaved the Israelite people. And that's interesting because when you go back to Genesis 15, God promises Abraham that his people would be enslaved.
Sure.
So that's one of those little prophecies that just kind of goes done there. But we talk about a lot of good stuff, and so we're gonna kind of land in as Moses is born through some, gosh, there's so much context. I'm trying to remember and make sure that I get all the context here. I feel like I'm being crazy. So Pharaoh, if you look from an allegorical standpoint, Pharaoh is the first Hitler.
I thought that was an interesting note when I got your notes.
Isn't that interesting?
I want you to dive into that.
Yeah. So Hitler did not like the Jews, had a whole history with the Jews, and killed upwards of 3 million Jews, 6 million Jews. Pharaoh, at this point, was kind of given that same, I don't know if you're into the spirit of type thing. I try to be careful not to delve into demonology or any things like that,
Sure.
but I believe Hitler might have had the spirit of Pharaoh, and which was one that was hardened.
You're not diving into recreation at this point.
No. This is not recreation.
Yeah.
This is just it's an allegory. It's an interesting comparison that Pharaoh killed so many Jewish boys.
Sure.
Had them thrown in the river. And in that, God had his promise. God kept his seed alive, which would eventually carry on all the way down to the New Testament to Jesus. Well, part of that seed was Moses.
Right.
And so to do so, God is almost in defiance of Pharaoh. Even before we see Pharaoh's defiance toward God, God is in defiance of Pharaoh. And he says, okay, not only is this kid that I'm choosing, not only is he going to be born, but you're going to put him in a basket and sail him on the very river that all these other boys have been murdered in. That's hilarious to me. Not to mention, gosh, there's so much. You go into the first chapter of Exodus, and let's do that. Let's pop open Exodus 1. You'll find so many funny things. Not really funny. They're kind of sad, but it's also kind of coincidental. So I'm gonna pop open to Exodus 1. Man, I don't know what happened. This rain seemed to come from nowhere.
It really did.
I don't know. Maybe it did. All right, Exodus 1. In the meantime, while this is gathering up, because we're in a metal building right now, wonderful internet. There is a moment in which Pharaoh gives the midwives of Egypt, gives them a command to kill all the boys as they exit the mother's womb.
So it's immediate. Yeah,
it's immediate. So here's what I want to do. I want to kind of skip past some of this. Exodus chapter 1. I'm going to start in verse 8. Now there arose a new king over Egypt who did not know Joseph. Remember that. And he said to his people, behold, the people of Israel are too many and too mighty for us. Come, let us deal shrewdly with them, lest they multiply, and if war breaks out, they join our enemies and fight against us and escape from the land. Now, this is, just so you guys get some context here, you're looking at about 2.5 to 3 million Jews at this moment. Over 425 years, they grew from a couple hundred to 2.5, more or less, Jews.
And what's the population of Egyptians at this point?
At this moment, you're probably talking about half of that.
Okay.
So can you imagine how terrified a Pharaoh that was, had little man syndrome would be if he looks at all these people and says, man, if they had a harebrained idea, they could take us on.
Yeah, we're looking at 2-to-1, which is not great.
Smoked. Yeah, smoked.
Plus, most of them are slaves, so they're in and amongst.
That's right.
They know all the alleys, all the dark ways.
So therefore, they set taskmasters over them to afflict them with heavy burdens. They built for the Pharaoh store cities, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied, and the more they spread abroad. And the Egyptians were in dread of the people of Israel. So they ruthlessly made the people of Israel work as slaves, and made their lives bitter with hard service in mortar and brick, and in all kinds of work in the field. And all their work, they ruthlessly made them work as slaves. Then the king of Egypt said to the Hebrew midwives, check this out, y'all. This is where it gets interesting. One of whom was named Shiphrah, and the other Paul, I think. Paul. Anyways, when you serve as midwife to the Hebrew women to see them on the birth stool, if it is a son, you shall kill him. If it is a daughter, he shall live. But the midwives feared God. That's an interesting fact. These are Egyptian midwives.
Yes.
They don't know God.
No, but they are midwives to the Jewish people.
Yes, but they're still Egyptians.
Sure.
So my thought here, what if, just kind of a little aside, what if that feared God meant God had placed his sovereignty on them to do his will?
I took it as both God put his sovereignty on them to kind of protect his own.
Yeah.
I also took it as it's hard to hide enlightenment when you're exposed to enlightenment.
Yeah.
So like if we're, and we've talked about this, of trying to be, Christ-like and disciples of Christ in people's, that way that people see how we act, they know our faith, that will show them Christ through our acts.
For sure.
And I think some of it is God getting on them and imposing his sovereign on them. I think some of it too,
is also they've seen
they've seen the Jewish people, and they've probably seen the Jewish people pray. They've seen the Jewish acts,
Yeah.
and have talked to them about God, or at least heard them talk about God.
Yeah, when we talk
So-
about the 425 years of in between them moving to Goshen and their enslavement, that doesn't necessarily say that they were godless. It doesn't necessarily say that they didn't still honor God
Sure.
and do the sacrifices and all those things.
Yeah, I mean, they
That's-
were still the Jewish people, and God still honored his, the
For
Jewish
sure.
people. So
They had Abraham's promise. Absolutely.
yeah,
So midwives feared God and did not do as the king of Egypt commanded them, but let the male children live.
oops.
Here's where it gets really funny. And so this is some interesting question theologically here. So the king of Egypt called the midwives and said to them, "Why have you done this and let the male children live?" The midwives said to Pharaoh, "Because the Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women, for they are vigorous and give birth before the midwife comes to them." So God dealt with the midwives, and the people multiplied and grew very strong. And because the midwives feared God, he gave them families. Then Pharaoh commanded all his people, "Every son that is born in the Hebrews, to the Hebrews, you shall cast into the Nile, but you shall let every daughter live." So that's fascinating. Here's a question that I'm interested in your thoughts on. The Hebrew women disobeyed their king.
Not their king, the Egyptian women.
The Egyptian midwives
Yeah.
disobeyed the Egyptian king.
Yes.
God dealt well with this. God honored it.
Mm-hmm. Because they feared God.
Well, but here's the question now. What they did was wrong.
Was it?
Here's the question. They were told to do something by their government,
Sure.
and they refused for the right reason, but it was still breaking the law. I guarantee you all those midwives were killed.
Does God ever say don't break the law?
I don't remember reading that anywhere in scripture.
God says we should obey authority, right? And he tells us that later in the New Testament when he's talking about, being peaceful and stuff like that, that we should obey authority. That which is Caesar's, that which is God's. But it's also goes back to the moral clause where if we know we're about to disobey God's laws, he talks very strongly about disobeying him.
Yeah.
And they fear God. So it's one of those that Pharaoh would not see it this way.
Sure not.
And later in the books, the Romans don't see it this way.
Correct.
We obey God's
The
law.
Babylonians don't see it.
Babylonians didn't see it this way. So, yeah, they disobeyed Pharaoh, and it cost them their lives. God dealt well with them because they felt they feared God.
Well, I wonder if that. So it doesn't. Nothing really ascribes what that phrase "God dealt well with them" means. I would tend to believe because the phrase was put in the scriptures, they what was it? What did it say? They honored God. Say they trusted God. Feared God. They feared God.
They feared God.
I think because that phrase was put in there, it would lead me to believe that they received salvation.
I think they received. I do think they received, because I think that God dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and grew very mighty. So, I think one of those that tells me too is God protected them.
Yeah.
As much as he probably could have. It says later in there, because the midwives feared God, he gave them families. So I don't think they died right away. And at least some
Maybe
of them,
not.
some
Yeah.
of them probably grew protection. God dealt with them,
Yeah.
protected them. They were able to grow and multiply themselves.
Yeah, and of course that's all speculation, but I just think that's really I had never caught that until
Sure.
doing this study. The idea that the midwives did that.
Yeah.
And then used that hilarious lie. Like, oh, they're just so hyper. They're having babies before we even get there.
Vigorous.
Vigorous.
It's like, no, they deal with the contractions and everything, and they are popping them out before we get there.
Gosh.
That's they're doing a pop
That's
and
it.
lock on the kids.
Yeah, they pop, lock, and locking it.
Yeah, that's it.
Pop, drop, pop, and lock, whatever it is. I'm too white and old for all of that. But I thought it was hilarious because all of the things that Pharaoh was trying to do to kill the kids, God
Sure.
used as a almost a laugh in the face because okay, all right, not only was an ark of bulrushes built and he was sent down the same river, then who of all people finds him? Pharaoh's own daughter.
Yes.
She takes him in. She's deciding she's going to raise him. The very administration that was sent to murder him is now raising him with their own resources,
Yep.
their own money. And then here's the icing on the cake. Miriam, his sister, says, I know a Hebrew woman that can take care of him for you. He goes back to his daggum mama.
Yeah.
She's taking care of him.
We've raised him, we've strengthened him, we've taught him, we've done everything. And now we're going to give him back to his mom. Thank you very much.
Well, it was a lot of these Hebrew women acted as nannies
Oh yeah.
for the princess. So from a baby, like she got her baby right back.
Yeah.
Like that's amazing to me. It is like a literary slap in the face for Pharaoh. But man, there's so much stuff. You can see God's sovereign hand on Moses in the river. You can see burn the crap out of me.
I was gonna say, he dropped a spark on you.
Sure did. Oh, it was.
Oh, you're
my
on.
god, I'm on fire. I'm on fire. And then we can push a little further into the next couple chapters. There's a burning bush that shows God's presence and protection, not consumed, and not the bush not being consumed in the middle of the fire. And so there's so much really good what's the word symbolism that we can see of God's sovereign hand and protection and guidance and purpose. It's so cool to see that. So let's jump into kind of into Exodus 1 a little bit. We've talked a good bit about Exodus 1. Let's jump into these questions. How does the persecution of God's people in Exodus 1 reveal the larger cosmic conflict between God's covenant purposes and powers of the world? It's a big question.
That was a big, long question. And I love you for it.
I love those long questions. Let's see. Maybe let me rephrase this. How is the persecution of God's people in Exodus 1 reveal God's greater purpose? Reveal God's greater plan?
I think one is, if you look in just a generalized scheme, and it's one thing I thought was interesting about Exodus. If you look in just a generalized scheme, it kind of gives you of God's not here for us now, meaning that we're going to go through trials and tribulations. We're going to be enslaved. We're going to be enslaved either by our own authority or ambition. We could be enslaved by wherever we live in the world, the country's authority. There's going to be strife and conflict. Other authorities, we've seen many wars, authorities changing hands over certain lands. God's people are going to be put through a lot. It does not mean that we're going to walk in abundance as far as wealth and promise and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, God has us the entire time.
Yep.
And God will protect us as much as he can and as much as he needs to fulfill the prophecy and the promises that he's given us.
Yeah. I
That's
dig
a
that.
long-winded answer, but it's that is the promise of God is that if you believe in me and follow me now, you may have a tough life. I'll make it as easy as I possibly can. But you're going to have free will. Other people have free will, and evil exists.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I will overcome evil and conquer death.
It's perfect. Yeah, and I think part of that question that I really love is focusing on the larger cosmic conflict. The larger cosmic conflict, and that's we're talking about big picture.
Yes.
30,000 foot view. Who's at whose throat? So what I really like about
cosmic question.
What I really like about that question is it uses the term greater cosmic conflict.
Yeah.
And that's the idea that we're talking, God versus evil. And it's fascinating because when you think of, good versus evil, God, Satan, demons, all that stuff, but how does that work with Pharaoh? Pharaoh's just doing what pharaohs do, what sinful people do. And so I find it fascinating when you read that and you recognize that this isn't just one evil man doing evil things to a group of people. This is a greater cosmic conflict.
Well, that's where I thought it was interesting. I wanted you to talk about your notes where you said Pharaoh was really the first Hitler.
Yeah.
And I think you're right into the fact that the greater cosmic conflict is good versus evil, or God versus evil, and really God versus death. And I think this is what we're seeing here is it played out in real time.
Yeah.
And it's Pharaoh, Hitler, a lot of our antagonists to God through all of the earth.
Yeah.
And all of history, we're seeing that play out.
Yeah.
Of people choosing, it's Star Wars. It's people choosing the dark side of the light side.
Yeah. Well, and where else do we see this in Scripture? Where else do we see kings that are, almost disciplined by God Himself? I can think of Nebuchadnezzar,
Absolutely,
the king of Babylon. He was literally turned into an animal for years.
Yeah.
Like not physically turned into an animal, but made to eat grass and walk on all fours like a wild beast, because he would not submit.
Right.
But that's weird to me, thinking of the fact like that was all, like God said, submit or else. Like
it's weird to us because we get it.
Well, it's what the idea is. What did he, like? He is just like any other evil king that has existed. Why him specifically to be punished so harshly? And you look at other things like gosh, who was another one? There was a lot of the Herods in Rome that were taken care of. Look at Emperor Nero. Nero went crazy.
Right.
Blame the Christians. It's just nuts when you look at some of the authorities and powers throughout church history and biblical history, and you see how God dealt with them almost in a like harsh way.
Yeah, but I think you can, if you look at that, he had one. It's the ones that we know about were the ones that were written down in the Bible, right? So we know the stories of the ones that were told that were harsh. It doesn't mean that he's not harsh to others. They just didn't have it.
Sure.
And if he wasn't, I think it also goes into God acts where He needs to act in order to have the outcome for His creation.
Yes.
He knows what He's setting up.
Yep.
And it's, if you're a little peon over in the side, yeah, you may be evil. I may not treat you as harshly or act as harshly now. Like, you're going to have a problem when you die. But as far as now, you're Lord Farquaad as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? Yeah, dude, I don't like you, but it's okay.
But it's amazing because God is over here playing like 8D chess.
Oh,
like
yes.
It's amazing how, you look back through Scripture and you look through, actual history. Not that the Bible's not actual history, but modern history. And you look at what the church has been through and how God has brought about certain things. It's like, gosh, that's why He's worthy of worship.
Absolutely.
Is not just because of what He did for me, but because of what He is doing.
Yes.
Like, it's amazing the canopy of sovereignty that is coming out of that. But that's beautiful. But in what ways does this connect to the church's identity in the New Testament?
Ooh, and this is a fun one. That's in every way.
All the ways.
All the ways. Name away all the ways.
It's there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see the persecution, definitely. We look at persecution throughout church history. And every single time we come back stronger.
We come back stronger. If you look at the midwives, it's literally have faith in God.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of where they feared God. That's also faith in God. That if you have faith in God, that's all He requires.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, you had faith in me. You acted in your best interest against your own government
Yeah.
for my benefit.
Yeah.
I dealt well with you.
Well, look at the Chinese church.
Yes.
They are probably the single most oppressed in the world, and they are millions strong.
Oh,
It's absolutely astounding to me.
And thriving.
I mean, without even blinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are they still in hiding? Are they still underground? Yeah, but there's thousands upon thousands upon thousands of underground churches that are worshiping Jesus
Sure.
all the time.
And every attempt of that government and those people to oppress, murder, martyr everything to Christians over there, and they're still.
It really is to me like I remember, my daughter. If I tell my daughter,
Yeah.
don't do this or don't touch this, like, I mean, this, don't touch that, don't do that. It's like the Spirit of God gives people the ability to just step out with boldness. It's not like He absolutely does, but it's that boldness that just grows the church. Like, there's no fear of death, there's no fear of persecution, no fear of torture. They know what needs to be done because it's worth it.
Right. And the thing I've had to talk with a few people who have dealt with loved ones and other people passing recently, but the hard part for us is we fear death because we're here and we understand death means I'm going to miss that person.
Yeah.
Death means I'm not going to spend time with those people anymore. Even like when you die, it's like I'm not going to, when I die, I'm not going to spend time with my wife anymore.
Yeah.
We tend to fear that as humans.
Yeah.
And I think those that are truly close to God realize that our death here is not the end. It's really they almost don't mind dying for God because they know what's coming after.
Yeah, it's worth it.
It's worth it. And you have to go through the hard part to get to the good part. Yeah. I was listening to Jordan Peterson was talking to Sean Ryan a couple of weeks ago. I was watching a Sean Ryan podcast, and Jordan Peterson brought up a thing that he goes, it's real because it's the hard part to do. The real things in life are the hardest things in life to do. And I was just hit it by a ton of bricks and he started the interview is really interesting because he goes into that line of questioning, really kind of, it feels like he's going after and almost attacking him a little bit, of why he became a SEAL and was it hard, and he kind of goes into it and he's like, was it the hardest thing you've ever done? He's like, oh, for sure. He's like, right, of course it was. He said, was it real? And he's like, well, yeah, it's real. Like, it's the realest I've ever felt. And he said, right, because that's the hardest thing you've ever done. He said, and that's where it came out of, it's real because it's hard.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, Jordan Peterson's got some good stuff to say.
Yeah.
Sorry for the dead time there. I'm puffing up a new cigar. That one was not suiting my fancy.
I was gonna say,
wasn't doing it. Couldn't keep it lit to save its life.
Yeah, it looked like you struggled about 2/3 of the way into it.
Yeah, not to mention, it dropped a piece of ash on me that almost burned a hole in my shorts. We
talked about it not falling apart, but it looked like it was starting to fall apart.
Yeah. I think it's a cool idea. Not great execution. No big deal. I've got a wonderful Pappy Van Winkle. This is one of the creme de la cremes.
There you go.
You have one of these?
I have not.
Dude, so from the top here to here, you can tell it's a different color.
Oh, yeah.
It's been dipped and it has been soaked in Pappy Van Winkle's bourbon for 18 months.
Ooh. Okay.
Their own bourbon.
Yeah.
And then it's let to dry, and it's kind of has a, it's kind of a little hard.
Yeah, a little nut to it.
Yeah, it's got some it's like the sugar in the bourbon is kind of stuck around. It's pretty good.
Okay.
Anyways, I'm sorry.
A little burnt caramel flavor as you're drawing through it.
Yes, yeah, it's a good smoky flavor.
Sure.
Yeah. Second question, or the final question in this section, and we'll jump into Exodus 2. In what ways does our own culture, perhaps subtly, seek to suppress the growth of God's people?
How long we got for this one?
Yeah. As long as we need.
The weird thing was I was kind of thinking about this on the way over. And not this specific question, just kind of the subject, but we're compared to those in China, those in other parts of the world, as Christians in the U.S., we are not as attacked and oppressed as they are, obviously.
Right.
I do think we're in a weird thing now where, especially if you're of a certain skin tone, you get certain labels thrown at you if you are Christian.
Yep.
You get the R word thrown at you a lot. You get the all other words and stuff, and it's because
Are you calling me a retard?
No, I'm not calling you a retard on this one. But we're both retards together.
Amen. Yeah.
But I think the culture, we're in a culture here, at least in the U.S., of trying to downplay Christians, and we're even getting back into the realm sometimes where Christianity's called a cult.
Yeah.
For a lot of different reasons, and I think we go through phases that we battle that really well, and I think we go through phases where we let it go, which angers me.
Yeah. Some complacency.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think it's interesting. There was a guy on TikTok I've been following that he goes around on the street, and I'd love to be able to have people just give him different answers. But his answer is just, "Do you believe in Christ?" Or his question, sorry, is just, "Do you believe in Christ?" And the amount of physical responses to people who do not, where they turn, walk away, yell something at them, like whatever, it's just like, it's dumbfounding.
Yeah.
So
it's not subtle.
It's not subtle.
Yeah, it's not subtle. But suppressing the growth of the church, or of God's people in general, definitely something that's happened from day one. Let's look at the snake in the garden. Let's look at, even the way that God called Abraham out of the Ur of the Chaldees. Like, Abraham himself, like, he was literally in idolatry.
Mm-hmm.
He was, the Chaldeans were known for child sacrifice, for mutilation, for all sorts of horrible things. And God says, yes, I know what you are. I know what you've been into, and I still want you. Come on.
Yeah.
Come out of that. And so throughout history, you've seen the Jewish people get pushed down in a lot of different ways. And I want to be careful not to jump into kind of a more of a dispensational mindset where, the Jews are the ones we have to protect. I think we protect all human beings, but I think we need to be careful recognizing that the church is a continuation of all the promises given to Israel.
Yes.
And I think that's a really hard thing for people. We get some of these boot stomping old Baptist pastors that are more worried about, the red heifers than they are, evangelizing to the people that are in their church and teaching theology. And so I think, honestly, this is going to sound crazy. I think the biggest way that culture tries to mess up the church is, or the culprit that's doing the most of this, is the church itself.
Yes.
I think the church itself is not stepping up, is not growing strong men, is not teaching young men and women what God expects from a biblical standpoint, not as a power play, and not equipping them.
Yeah.
Not equipping at all.
We're not equipping at all. And I think we've let culture come in and decide what we teach. Sometimes, like from the pulpit in Big C Church, because we also don't want to be the churches that people protest outside of.
Yeah.
So I think we've let culture decide that some. But no, I would agree with you. Like the church is really, I think we battled too much against ourselves.
Yeah.
With man-made denominations. I teach Growth Track at Jefferson, which is part of a denomination, but they stress that, like, we don't really talk much about denominations. You can come in as any denomination you want to. We're not going to make you change to ours. Like, they have theirs for governance and
Right.
oversight and stuff, but they don't make it. And I had a good conversation with someone today about why we are the way we are. But I think a lot of that denomination, especially here in the U.S., the man-made stuff is really caused the division.
What's interesting because the Bible is very clear that we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but it seems like we do.
Yes.
It seems like that's the big fight. But when you look at the cosmic battle, the cosmic conflict, it is deeper than that. It is deeper when you look at churches, and there are some churches that, most churches, I'm going to say, are well-meaning, wonderful people that love Jesus and might just not know what they're doing and what they're saying. They just don't understand
Right.
the harm they're doing to people. But then there are other churches, and I could name some, but I don't need to, that are making are attempting to make the Christian faith filthy.
Yes.
They are introducing things into the church that have no business being in the church. And it's disgusting, and it hurts my feelings, and it makes me mad. And I think these are the things these aren't just the things that Jesus tossed temple tables over.
No.
These are the things that Jesus died for. These are the things that Jesus died for and set up the church in Acts 2 to protect.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, any of y'all out there listening, the church is failing in some ways. Not in all ways, because God's word does not return void, but the church is failing in some ways. And I don't know if you agree with that or not, but at the end of the day, I want you to take some time and read scripture, read Acts, see how the church was created and what it was meant to do, and then ask yourself, is my church doing those things now?
Yeah. Are they following the ways of which we've been called to follow, or called to follow?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a lot of churches I get mad at the churches that are doing it right, because I don't think the ones that are teaching and growing their people right also aren't calling out the ones who aren't enough. Where it's fruit inspection, we'll call out individuals, but I think we
don't want to hurt feelings.
Yeah, we don't want to hurt feelings, and it's not my church, or that's not, I'm not the pastor of that church, so I'm not going to call them out. It's like, no, we need to call them out for you're not standing on biblical principles. Well, and you're going against, not just what God's told us not to do. You're going against true actual sin.
Yeah. Well, almost 2,000 years ago in early church history, some of the things that churches that call themselves Christians are teaching, you would have gotten burned at the stake or stoned to death for.
Yes.
And it's insane that we let it happen.
Yep.
This church down the streets, doing this. I'm like, Galatians, we just got done with the Galatians. It's very clear. If anybody teaches another gospel, let him be accursed.
Yeah.
Let him be accursed. And so it's a very hard thing to say, but at the end of the day, we're doing ourselves, our children, and our communities a disservice by not saying these things.
Absolutely.
So, no, that's good stuff. I don't want to focus too much on the negative stuff because Exodus is so incredible. But all scripture is given by inspiration. It is profitable. Yes. It is profitable to us. So we can take these accounts, these things that happened and the context in which they happened, and recognize that it applies to us. And these are the ways in which we are to take the things we learn and shape our lives by them.
Absolutely. And I think as we dive deeper into Exodus, there's going to be a lot of things we can draw back to. Yes, it's an old book. And like I said, the Episcopal is kind of treated as a little bit of a fable, but you can draw so much learned knowledge and direction from the book of Exodus and apply it to modern life, just as it teaches us we should be calling others out, and there's ways that we should be changing it, and there's reasons why, and we're going to dive into that as we dive into Exodus.
Beautiful. Yeah, so section 2, God's providence in Moses' birth and early life. So instead of going through the whole chapter, I'm going to shoot through the highlights real quick.
Okay.
That'll kind of save us some time. And I want y'all listening to go in your Bible and read and see that the things that we're saying are there in your scriptures. So Moses' birth and preservation through the Nile. point to God's sovereign hand, raising up a deliverer even under death decrees. Moses' upbringing in Pharaoh's household shows God's irony. The enemy's household funds and educates Israel's future deliverer. So we were talking about earlier. It's hilarious. Moses' initial attempt to deliver Israel by his own strength fails. It's where he kills that Egyptian. He gets mad because the Egyptian's really beating the tar out of one of his own Jewish brothers, and kills that Egyptian taskmaster, which isn't looked well upon. Pharaoh wants to kill him. But this illustrates human inadequacy apart from God's timing and plan. So just think through that, realize that, there is such thing as God's plan and God's timing. And when you try to thwart that, you only make things difficult for yourself, because at the end of the day, God's plan is going to happen with or without you.
Oh yeah.
I'd much rather it happen with me.
I'd like it to be with me. That's my whole goal from this point on, is I'd like it to be with me.
Yep. God's covenant faithfulness is highlighted at the chapter's end. God remembers his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So he hasn't he's left Egypt. He grew up, saw that his people were being oppressed, tried to do something about it, went about it all wrong, and then fled. And he fled into a place called Midian. He marries a Midianite priest's daughter. Typical wild boy marries the pastor's daughter.
Those are the wild ones.
Those are the wild ones.
Those are the wild
pastor's
ones.
daughters are nuts.
Yes, sir.
Zipporah is a very passionate woman, and they're living life, and he's kind of enjoying things far away from his problems. And I think it's important that we recognize that he is at a distance from the things that brought him there, and God is about to completely blow his mind.
Side note on that.
Yeah.
Just and I shouldn't say side note, sidetrack. Knowing the early life of Moses, right? Tries to get in a fight, leaves the land of Israel, or leaves the land of Egypt, goes to Midian. Is that right? Ends up dating, courting, marrying preacher's daughter, who's a little bit of a wild child.
Well, he's the wild boy. He's the murderer.
Oh, he's
the bad boy that marries the pastor's daughter.
He's the bad boy that marries the pastor's daughter, who's a little bit of a wild child herself. And then through their interactions, and I think the stuff he learns there, kind of finds himself and goes back to rectify some stuff.
Well, God calls him.
Right, God calls him and says, "Hey, we're doing this. I'm gonna use your skills because I need you being a little bit of a wild boy, and I need your now wife to bring a little bit of her wild child because she's got to be there with him."
We're about to do it. And we're going to see in the next section where God calls him out.
Right.
And there's so much beauty in that.
Isn't the early start or that early story of Moses a little bit portrayed in the movie Footloose?
Yes. He is Kevin Bacon.
Who
does not want to be Kevin Bacon?
Right.
Wild child.
He's going to go be the wild child.
He's the bad boy.
Does some things that are questionable, ends up in small town.
Well, I will say, though, Moses meant well. He was just an idiot doing it.
Okay, Kevin Bacon
meant well. Well, he was just a straight bad boy.
Yeah.
But that is funny. I was thinking prodigal son, but I like that better.
Yeah, I like going secular just to piss the Christian people off a little bit.
Of course.
There's some Baptists. Well, one of the 20 have to be a Baptist somewhere.
One of the 20. I'm Baptist.
That's true, but I don't think that pissed you off.
No, because I'm Reformed Baptist.
I'm Reformed Baptist, and you know me too well.
Yeah, that's good. What does it mean that God remembered his covenant? Does that imply that God had forgotten, or is it a covenantal declaration of action? I hate that question because it gives away the answer.
I was gonna say answer B, the covenantal declaration of action. Thank you.
Pick three, my lord. Pick three. Favorite line in that entire movie.
B, final answer.
You said Farquaad and it just got me on it. Oh man. Yeah, I think it's important to recognize that when God remembered something, it doesn't mean that he forgot. He is making a declaration that I know I made this covenant and I intend to and I will keep it and continue it. I will preserve you. I will uphold you. And it's cool that Moses remembers that.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's interesting because we have to remember that these books are written by humans
yeah.
that are using human language. So they they view it as, oh, God remembered his covenant to us, where God's like, no, I had a plan. Just you didn't see it that way.
100%. Well, and the second part of that question is, how does this shape our view of God's faithfulness in apparent silence? Now, I don't believe that there was silence in the 425 years. Again, we talked about how people were worshiping God and people were, God was still their people.
Sure.
And he hadn't really revealed himself like he's going to toward the middle to the end of the book. But people didn't forget God.
Mm-hmm.
It just, the way that it's written leads one to believe that maybe there was a time where the people forgot.
Absolutely. And I think that's been recurring.
Yes. So for me, the apparent silence, I feel like the silence is rarely ever on God's part. I feel like the silence comes from me. A lot of times I get too busy to pay attention. I get too busy to make my quiet time a priority. I get too busy to focus on what God's trying to teach me. The whole idea of, was it Ezekiel who is in the cave and God tells him, I'm gonna send, he said, I'm gonna send an earthquake, but God's voice is not in the earthquake.
Sure.
I'm gonna send a rushing fire, a tornado, but God's voice is not in the tornado. But I'm gonna come to you with a still small voice. I don't slow down long enough to hear God.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of times where I'm just like, God, what are you doing? Like, why aren't you talking to me? And he's like, bro, Tato, bro, I'm right here. Like, shut up for a minute.
Yeah.
Clear your mind. Get yourself in a dark closet and shut up.
Yeah. I haven't talked to you because you haven't stopped long enough to listen to me.
It's like a conversation with my mom. Mom, if you're listening, I love you.
We love you very much, Mom. But it's very true. And it's the times where I feel distant from God is, and when I feel distant from God, that's one of those, it's almost a reminder of, hey, I feel distant from God because I've made myself distant from Him.
Yes.
And the only way to really hear from God again is reach out and talk to Him.
Yeah. Well, and that's that beautiful free will. I don't believe that our free will's gone. I don't believe that we don't have that. I believe that we very much so have that. And I think there's some times where I've got to recenter myself. I've got to bring myself back to a place of, as we will learn in the fall semester, we're going through Revelation. I'm really excited about that, by the way.
Yeah.
But in the first chapter, it talks about the 7 churches of Revelation 1, and one of them is, I believe, the church of Laodicea, where they've lost their first love. They've fallen away. Not that they've lost their salvation, but they've lost sight of the beauty and the majesty of the life-changing grace that is God.
Yes.
And I think we as people and as Christians oftentimes get so busy that we lose sight of that.
Oh yeah.
And the Jewish people were no different.
Yeah, and that's where I don't think the Jewish people were any different. We are no different. I think everybody through time we all get wrapped up and we get in a mindset of complacency.
Yes.
Where we seek God when we're in trouble.
Yes.
Or we seek God when our initial plans have failed that we're trying to do ourselves, and then we go seek God.
Absolutely.
And that's where He's like, no, seek me first and then let me deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have fallen into that trap many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the text is incredible when we talk about Exodus 2 and how he ran away. And obviously, he was supposed to run away because Pharaoh would have killed him. So we know there was a plan in that, but kind of applying that to our lives, there's so many times where instead of dealing with our issues, instead of dealing with the things that scare us, dealing with the consequences of our own actions, we run away. In fact, gosh, my daughter cracks me up because she'll every now and then she'll get real rambunctious and she'll, I can't wait to leave this house. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
She goes, because as soon as I leave, you guys are my problem. It's y'all. Y'all are the problem. As soon as I leave, my problems go away.
Ooh.
And it's funny because I look at her, I'm like, sweetheart, you don't even realize the moment you walk out those doors, all your problems go with you.
Yes.
Because the problems are within you. We might be small problems, but the greater problems are within you.
Yeah.
And as Moses is going to find out, it's very similar. He's got some pride issues. He's got some anger issues. In fact, there's an anger issue later in the book of Exodus that's going to keep him and the children of Israel in a desert for 40 years.
Yep.
Can you imagine a sentence, a 40-year sentence because you got mad?
No.
I'd be eternally in the desert.
Yes. Oh, I'd be in the desert and hot all day.
I don't believe in purgatory, but
So let me tell you how Friday went.
That's right. That's right. That's right. In the first 5 minutes. Yeah. Oh man. How do we discern between faithful initiative and rushing ahead of God's plan?
Ooh.
That's a hard one. I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. If I thought I was rushing ahead, I might not have done it.
Sure.
So I don't know, other than shutting up and let God speak to you.
Yeah, it's the only way, because I love this question. It's the only way I kind of came up with, because we battle it all the time, is if you put in a route on your GPS, are you going to drive the route, or are you going to let the GPS tell you how to get there?
Yes.
Because like now, if I put on, I've got CarPlay on my phone, so like it tells me on the screen, it rattles. I've got an Apple Watch, so it rattles my wrist when I'm a tenth of a mile away from the turn.
Yep.
So I have all of the signals. I don't start looking for the road until my wrist buzzes or until the car dings. It's like, oh, yep, my turn's coming up. If I try to guess it, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to turn on the wrong road.
Yep.
It's the same way that if we're trying to accomplish something and using our own means to do it and not following God's plan, you're going to find yourself on the wrong road.
Yeah.
We're dumb and we're human. But if we wait for God to tell us where, because he will tell you where all the open doors are.
Well, I think Moses really thought he was following God's plan, though.
I think Moses did. I think Moses forgot God, some of which is he wasn't patient enough to listen for God to go when he's like, I'll be back to tell you the next step. Moses went for a next step.
I think I got it.
I think I got it. We're going to go here because I think, and God's like, what are you doing? I told you I'd be back, but we got paid. You didn't come back. I was coming back.
What were you thinking?
What were you thinking? Just, you're not supposed to be here. Well, this place sucks. Okay, you're not supposed to be here. Well, I know that. Why am I here? Because you went on your own free will. If you wait till I come back, because I told you I was coming back, right? Told you I was coming back, right? Okay. When I come back, I'll tell you where the next step is. I've got some stuff to deal with that you're not part of.
Oh man, yeah, that's good. That's good.
Because
it's a hard one. It's just such a hard question because there's so many things that are done in the name of ministry, in the name of God, in the name of the gospel, that you look back on and you're like, that was obvious. There's no way that could have been God's plan.
Yeah.
That went horribly.
Yes.
And sometimes that is God's plan. Sometimes God's plan is for you to fall flat on your butt so you can, that butt bone can hurt and you can learn But man, like I was just reading, I was listening to a podcast, a really good podcast called The Rise and Fall of Mars Hill. And I was a huge Mark Driscoll fan when I was in college. Great, and I really think he's a great leader. I think he's got some absolute integrity, character flaws, leadership issues that he needs to get with God on.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know half of it till I was listening to this podcast. But every time you heard the man speak or preach, he had all of the gusto, all of the bravado of someone who is doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and he believed he was doing exactly what he was supposed to be doing. And God's people and God was bringing people into the fold by the droves. At one point they had 20,000 people across 15 churches.
Oh wow!
Like, it's incredible what God allowed him to accomplish, or God accomplished through him. But how does someone that has, and of course we're all broken, but someone that has that much, I guess, drama led leadership style,
Yep.
like just a hard individual, how that hurt thousands of people.
Sure.
How does that happen? Like, did he jump the gun, or was he doing what God was telling him to do, and in the process being an idiot? Like, what? It's just so difficult for me to wade through stuff like that. So I'm thinking that for my own self, because we've talked about my story,
Yeah.
and why God allowed successful, and I say that in air quotes because it was successful in my eyes. It was successful in the eyes of other people around me, and God brought people to himself. Ultimately, there were people that were saved and discipled and grew under the authority that I was given by God.
Right.
But I was in horrible sin. And so I'm is that considered jumping the gun? Is that considered just screwing the pooch on your calling? Like, I feel like this is a really sticky situation.
I think it's a really sticky situation. The only thing I would say to you is people that, because you drew people to Christ and introduced them to Christ and had them know Christ and be saved through Christ, correct?
Right.
Mark Driscoll did the same, like 20,000 you said?
It's a lot.
Yeah. It's one of those, if it weren't for Mark Driscoll, let's say half of those, which we know the number is higher, but let's say half that number was saved because of the work that he did. Does his sins as a leader diminish the fact that they were saved?
No, of course not.
Does it diminish the salvation? I don't think in God's eyes it matters how you get saved. I think we as humans look at leaders as, and as a leader yourself, and I'm a leader in my work, that we put along on it, like, how could that person who's supposed to be leading have those problems? What they've done in their accomplishments of bringing people to God and bringing people to salvation.
Yeah.
That salvation to God and the relationships that are now formed with God are not diminished because of the leader. Maybe what diminishes, instead of 20, it could have been 40.
And I'm not so much worried about the numbers, because God's going to draw the people to himself that he wants to. I do oftentimes, similarly to Moses, how Moses kind of jumped in there. But the difference is my heart. I don't think my heart was, I wasn't saved at that moment.
Sure.
I wasn't saved then. Like, God had not done a redeeming work in my heart at that moment. And that's even scarier.
Yeah.
To think about how many people are out there that are truly meaning well and living in sin and doing ministry in the name of God, but they are well on their way to hell. But that's besides the point. This is specifically about Moses and rushing ahead of God's plan. And I do struggle with that idea, because I've done it, I've seen it, I've experienced it, but I also know God's plan cannot be thwarted. I also know God's plan is greater than our stupidity.
Yes. And I don't. worrying about God. Well, it's one of those of like when you're, especially as pastors, as leaders, when the pastor and leader is in sin, maybe even teaching the wrong gospel.
Yeah.
If they're introducing them to God, God will transform them.
Mm.
Jesus and the Holy Spirit are going to take over if they're truly saved. And I mean, even a part of how you get to know God, if you know God and accept Him in your life, you're truly going to be transformed and saved.
Yeah.
Regard doesn't matter who brought you there, you're going to be saved. And I think that's the thing with Moses and anybody else. Yeah, you can rush it. God's plan is still God's plan, and He may even anticipate the fact that you're going to mess this up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's kind of, that was probably, and I think I've mentioned this a few different times in the podcast, was when everything, everything went down with me, and I was I stepped down from the church I was at. I read this Facebook post, and it said, when God called you, He already factored in your stupidity.
Absolutely.
Oh man, it's a freeing, very, very freeing thing. But yeah, Moses, we feel you, buddy. Been there, done that, bought that T-shirt, wore it out.
Well, and it's something just came to mind when you were saying that too. One of the sermons I listened to when I kind of came back to Christ was one by Jensen Franklin, and he talked about how basically God is going to call you to separate you from the life of sin, and it's going to be to call you to the land of strangers, right, where you feel like you're a stranger in a stranger in a strange world.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the whole thing. And Jensen Franklin has had a saying or quote out of that God's going to take you left to make you right.
Mm.
And the longer the left, the bigger the right.
Ooh. Interesting. Yeah, that's solid.
So, and it's one of those that, yes, your path, when you were going through all of that, yes, it was wrong. Like, it is. Yes, you did good during that time that you brought people to salvation. But at the end of it, you realized where your path was wrong. You corrected it, stepped back towards God, and gained your salvation. And now look at what you're doing with podcasts and groups and everything else. I mean, you've saved at least 22 people online the last time I checked. So
I've done absolutely nothing.
But I think that's what we have to remember is like I think we get angered at the leaders. We get angered at Moses for being human and sinning and continuing to sin sometimes and not listening to God and rushing it. But I think the end of the day, God's plan is what it is, and it won't be thwarted. And I think when we get beat enough and we get broken enough, God's going to step in and go, okay, is your butt hurt yet? Because I can pick you up whenever it does. Otherwise, you can keep falling. I'll keep here to pick you back up, but you can keep falling. Or if you don't want to fall again, by the way, I'm going to be back in a few days. Just chill.
Just chill. Yeah. Well, and it's, it makes me think of, the passage in the New Testament where it talks about, God chastises, God punishes the ones in whom He loves. God gives consequence to the ones in whom He loves for their own benefit. Let's jump into chapter 3. I think it's probably all we're going to get through tonight. I'm totally fine taking as long as we need to get through this. I would recommend a woman on not Facebook, on YouTube. Her name's Carmen Imes. She does a little 10-15 minute video through Exodus. She is a leading expert on the original Hebrew language.
Can you spell last name?
Imes, Imes.
Okay.
Carmen Imes. She does it's called Torah Tuesday, and she goes through the totality of Exodus, and just breaks down each chapter into just a few verses at a time. And she goes into the original text and what it means, and it's absolutely astounding. And I'm annoyed that I didn't even think to look over what her passage was, or what her few videos would have been for our discussion tonight, because I'm sure they would have been gold mine.
Oh, sure.
I'll do that for next week.
But we'll have to research her.
Carmen Imes, she's a professor at Viola University out in, I think it's California. Incredible research. She's put out several books. She has a book that's called Bearing God's Image. Incredible insight. I
Huh.
think we've had that wrong for
Okay.
a long time, the idea of bearing God's image. But well, I'll bring her into some of this because she's got a lot of insight there. But chapter 3, here's kind of the key insights of what's going on throughout the chapter. God reveals himself as the I am who I am, which ultimately is his name, Yahweh, grounding his covenant identity in his self-existence and eternal faithfulness. God calls Moses from weakness to fear, and fear to trust in his covenant presence. I will be with you. The call to confront Pharaoh shows that God's covenant redemption is not merely spiritual, but also political and cosmic. There's that word again, thinking of the greater picture, overthrowing false gods and oppressive powers. So just, we'll talk a little bit about chapter 3. It's amazing to me that this is the first time in the Bible. I think God reveals himself to Adam and Eve with a specific name, but this name is beautiful. Going the I am who I am. What do you think of when you hear that name? Because each name has a meaning.
Sure. And the Yahweh part of it, I think, is interesting, which we'll get into. The I am who I am is, I think this is the first time, and like you said, with Adam and Eve, like it was, Adam and Eve was so intimately relational because it was just
Yeah.
right. But this is the first time that God's really saying, and he's saying this to Moses, but he's really saying it to all of the Jews, of like that's his I am God. Like, you know who I am. I am who I am. And it's to me, it's the ultimate power call.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like almost he needs no introduction. It's
me.
It's me.
It's me.
It's, this isn't someone I sent. This isn't an angel. This isn't a burning bush, a voice in your head. This is me. This is real. I am who I am.
Yeah, that's interesting because when you look at some of these other, it's called a theophany. So a theophany, for those of you who don't know, is a physical manifestation in some way, shape, or form of God the Father himself. God does not have a body.
Yep.
Therefore, something that does not take the form of a body is what we call a theophany. Now, there are also things in the Old Testament called Christophanies. This is a pre-incarnate Jesus. So Jesus is revealing himself before he's even born in the Gospels. So it's very important to remember. We like theological terms. They mean things. There's a reason they exist. So learn them. It's good.
Words have meanings.
Words have meanings. So there are many other Christophanies in the Bible. When the angel of the Lord. So we hear, when you read things like an angel of the Lord, angel just means messenger. A messenger of the Lord, whether it's a human being or an angel, is irrelevant. We know it's a message from God. But when you hear the angel of the Lord, usually that is Christ. And so the angel of the Lord reveals himself to Abraham and Sarah and tells them they're going to have Isaac, a son. They're going to have a son. Sarah laughs. And that's when he says, his name's going to be Isaac, which means laughter. Thanks for laughing at me.
I didn't know that's what Isaac meant.
That's what Isaac means.
That's what Isaac means.
Because Sarah done laughed at Jesus.
That's awesome.
So there's some moments in which see Jacob literally gets in a fight with Jesus and fights all night long. Could you imagine what kind of a dude you have to be to like fight with incarnate God and not fail all night? In fact, so much so to where God's like, I got places to be, and breaks the dude's hip. And he walked with a limp all his life, but his name was changed from Jacob to Israel. And so there are several moments in which God reveals himself to people before this moment. called Christophanies, but this is the first outside of Adam and Eve. Remember, Adam and Eve was different. But this is the first time that God reveals himself personally. And I think the personal aspect is important to remember.
Yes.
So when I read, I am who I am sent me to you, or I am who I am sent a burning bush, first of all, that would kind of freak me out. You're walking down a way and you look over there in this little ravine and there's a bush on fire, which doesn't mean anything. You're in the desert. Bushes spontaneously combust all the time.
Sure.
But this one's not burning up.
I think the two things I got from this one, and they don't really say this, but it says the bush is not burning up. It's also not catching other stuff on fire. It is sitting there raging, not burning itself, but nothing else is burning.
Yeah.
That's, I think, it's not really, oh, it's a burning bush. It is a burning bush.
It is just the burning bush.
The burning bush.
And he approaches, and because he's checking out, I was like, this is crazy. I ain't never seen nothing like this. All of a sudden, a voice from heaven says, take your sandals off, because where you stand is holy ground. And he's like, oh, shoot.
He's done messed up, eh?
Yeah, so he takes his sandals off, sets them to the side, approaches God, and he says, I am who I am. Now, I read this, and this can mean, I feel like, almost anything. I am who I am. I am your strength. I am your promise. I am your perseverance. I am your faith.
Mm-hmm.
I am anything that I am needed to be in the moment that I'm needed to be it. I am. You need help. I am.
Yep.
Fill in the blank. I am ... That's what God is. The only word you can't put in there is evil.
No.
And it's incredible to me to think about just the overarching massiveness of that name is personal. Like, not only am I God, and you're gonna take your sandals off and you're gonna approach me with holiness, and you're gonna fall on your hands and knees and you're gonna worship me because I am God, but I also need you to know that I am with you.
Yes.
I am for you.
Bingo.
I have made all of this happen so that my name would be greater.
Yeah.
So good.
It's so good. And I like you said for you, because I do agree. You can put in a fill in the blank. I am, name something, right? Forgiver, protector, right? Defender,
Portion.
all of it.
Gosh, yes.
The other crazy part that it doesn't say is for you.
Mm-hmm.
I am a defender for you. I'm a protector for you.
Yeah.
I'm a guide for you.
Yeah. I would not have approached you if you were not.
Right.
Mm.
I am for you.
Not against you.
Not against you.
We over crying? You about to cry, ain't you?
No, it's spicy.
Yeah. It's dusty in here.
That's dusty as smoke in here. Leave me alone.
No, it's so good. And it gets me too, because just thinking about what God did for Moses and how even in all of his failure, even in all of his fear, even in all of the trying to hide from his past,
Mm-hmm.
God says, I know who you are. I know what you've done. I know what you're going to do. I know your inward thoughts. I've formed you together in your mother's womb, and I still want you.
Yep.
Not only do I want you, but you're going to fulfill my plan.
Yeah. And you're still mine.
Because I'm for you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
And that goes into, I'm going to throw this in now. I heard someone just, because you put in the notes about Yahweh, that I had heard a long time ago, someone kind of describe the term Yahweh and the name Yahweh, that it's really breath.
Yep.
Yah is in, way is out.
Yep.
So he's really calling himself the breath of life.
There's that, and there's also, yes, that's a really good one. But yeah, the sound, those two sounds are an inhale and an exhale, and God is saying, I am your first breath, and I am your final.
Yes.
I am everything in between. I am Yahweh. You don't breathe without me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's so good.
That's like that is our life source.
That's it.
That's our life source. I want to read part of this. For some reason, it was just up here. Why is it being crazy? Once it decides to show up, I want to read something that's fascinating because it's gonna dive into what we're gonna get into in the next podcast, where Moses is actually approaching Pharaoh and he's starting to tell him, "Yo, let my peeps go." So I'm gonna get kind of toward the end of this. Well, I'm gonna start in verse 7, and we're just gonna keep reading because I love this. Then the Lord said, "I have surely seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt, and have heard their cry because of their taskmasters. I know their sufferings, and I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land to a good and broad land, a land flowing with milk and honey, to the place of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Jebusites, and all of the other ites you can think of. And now, behold, the cry of the people of Israel has come to me, and I have also seen the oppression with which the Egyptians oppress them." And so here's the cool part. You can get down into it. And Moses bargains. It's hilarious. Moses is literally just seen the burning bush. He's on holy ground. God has declared his supremacy over all things, including your first and last breath. He is declared he is who he is. And Moses says, "Yeah, but I don't speak well."
Yeah.
And God says, "Okay, I'll send your brother-in-law Aaron, or your brother Aaron, with you." And then God says, after that, he says, "I will be with you."
Right.
And he goes, but let's see, what's the next thing? Hold on. Let me just skip down here for a second. But I know that the king of Egypt will not let you go until you compel my hands. Where is it? I'm gonna get into chapter 4 so you guys can get some of this. It's really funny. Then Moses answers, "But behold, they will not believe me or listen to my voice, for they will say, 'The Lord did not appear to you.' And the Lord said to him, 'What is that in your hand?' He said, 'A staff.' 'Throw it on the ground.' So he threw it on the ground. It became a snake. And Moses was like, "Ah!" And the whole thing, he's like, "They're not going to believe me." He says, "I'm going to give you a staff that turns into a snake. I'm going to give you power to do mighty works. I don't speak well. Take your brother Aaron with you to speak for you." And then and then Moses finally just breaks down and he gets real for the first time. He gets real. He goes, "I don't want to go. Just send somebody else."
Yeah.
Send someone else. And Moses God's like, "Pull it together. I will be with you." And then he says, at the end, here's what's really cool. I'm trying to find it.
Real quick about the Aaron part, because
Go ahead. Yeah.
there's one thing I loved about the Aaron when he brought up Aaron, is Yahweh's anger burned against Moses, and he said, "What about Aaron, your brother, the Levite? I know that he can speak." I don't need ads.
There you go.
I know that he can speak, and look, he's coming out to meet you. So it wasn't even like, "Oh, fine, I'll bring Aaron." It was like, "Hey, I knew you were going to say
I already
that.
knew it.
Aaron's already on his way. I've already called him. He's on his way.
Pull it together.
Pull your stuff together.
I am.
Do me a favor, say Yahweh and take a breath." All right.
Well, here's the cool part. So just before they're about to go back to Egypt, I love this part. "And the Lord said to Moses, when you go back to Egypt," he's declaring,
Oh, yeah.
"I know where you come from. See that you do before Pharaoh all of the miracles that I have put in your power." Oh my gosh, I hate my fingers. Where's the X? Lord, sorry. Gosh. So there we go. See that you do before Pharaoh all the miracles that I have put in your power, but I will harden his heart so that he will not let the people go. Then you shall say to Pharaoh, thus says the Lord, Israel is my firstborn son, and I say to you, let my son go, that he may serve me. If you refuse to let him go, behold, I will kill your firstborn son. He hasn't even made it to Egypt yet, and God's already telling him exactly how this is going to go down.
Yeah.
I'm going to harden his heart. It's going to end up this way, but I want it this way. He's oppressing my son. He's murdering my sons. I'm going to murder his.
Yeah. And I'm gonna push him into a hard heart because I'm gonna get back at him. I don't want him giving up too soon.
And there's so much good stuff we're going to get into next podcast about each of these plagues and what they represent and how it works, and what gods that they're literally spitting in the face of. Oh, it's so good.
It's so good. And how many times God hardens Pharaoh's heart just to be able to enact what he wants to enact.
All of them. I mean, all of the times. It's incredible.
And that's what I mean. It was amazing to me to go back and like reading through, and we did in groups to see how many times, because there's plagues that a lot of times people don't like, we don't talk about.
Yeah.
You know, and just all of the times, like just the first time, he's like, yep, I'm gonna harden his heart. Yep, I'm gonna harden his heart.
Mm.
You know, and even when Pharaoh's about to give up and give in, it's like, never mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wanted to skip ahead for a minute to show that God knew from the very, very moment that he conceived this entire plan, that this is exactly how Moses was going to go about doing things. And he wasn't just using that, he had planned that, and he was going about making it to where his glory would be seen among the nations. So I want to ask one final question before we end it out tonight. In a world where identity is often fluid, self-constructed, or tied to cultural trends, what does it mean for the church to anchor its identity in the covenant God who is unchanging? I think for me, it's laying hold of that beautiful name, laying hold that I am who I am had not only chose me, but wants me, loves me, doesn't need me, but is here.
Yeah.
He's here. My little peon turd of a self. God has a plan for me. Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, my very first breath to my very last breath, I am his. He's for me, not against me.
No.
I think if the church would start laying hold of that, kind of what we were talking about earlier with the church being part of the problem.
Sure.
Gosh, would that go by the wayside?
It would go by the wayside, and that is the love of God for us. Right? Like we talk about unconditional love and stuff like that. And I think, people new to the Christian faith, people searching in the Christian faith, unconditional love is hard. It's hard to understand. It's hard to describe. And you hit it directly on the head that it is first breath to last breath. He is with you and he is for you, and he is who he says he is. So it's that's not, and all we have to do to gain his favor is acknowledge him and believe in his son and follow his son.
Yeah, repent, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. And what's beautiful is everything and everybody in your life is going to fail you. If they haven't already, they're going to, because it's what humans do.
Sure.
This is part of our condition. We will fail. I'm going to fail my wife. I have already failed her in multiple ways. I'm going to fail my daughter, my brand new son. I'm going to fail him too. I'm going to fail. I've failed my parents. I failed my sisters. I have failed everybody in life, and everybody in life has failed me in some way, shape, or form. Even in the little, tiny little things. And God never has, and God never will. And he promises that.
Yep.
And that promise is good.
Yep. And here's the cool thing I like is, and I see your eyes doing what they're doing, smoke in the room.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, yes, people are going to fail us, right? Us as individuals. We are going to fail them. The other side that's hard for me, I have to realize I'm going to fail myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
God's here.
he's bigger.
Right.
Man, I want to go back for just a minute. We talked about Carmen Imes a little bit. She's written a book called Burying God's Image. And she posits a really cool idea. It's not really an idea, it's actually scriptural. See, we've been brought up, or we've gone into the church and have been taught that you are a image bearer
Yes.
of God, that you bear his image. What does it mean to bear? It means you carry. You take it with you.
Mm-hmm.
So based on cultural context, that would have been idolatry to believe that. Because every culture and every religion and every god that was worshipped had some sort of an inscription or a face that was carved or a piece of wood that was carved into an idol or a statue. But here's what's beautiful. In the correct Hebrew of bearing God's image, it literally translates we are the image of God. We don't just bear his image.
We are his image.
We are living images.
Yeah.
We don't carry around, our Bible is not an idol. We don't carry around an inscription of an unknown God or a false God that we worship. We don't just carry his image. We are it.
Yep.
And that totally changes everything.
It really does.
The fact that you can go out of here, walk down the street and say, okay, I'm carrying God's image. I'm going to put God's image in my back pocket for a minute because I want to be in my own image right now.
Doesn't happen.
We are, because we have souls.
Yes.
Because we have immaterial parts. We have spirit, and God has placed himself within that spirit. And we talk about how, I think Paul says that even God's divine power and Godhead are clearly seen in nature, so that no one is with excuse. We all, whether you're saved or not, doesn't mean you're saved if you are the image of God.
Yeah.
It just means that the fact that you are breathing, the fact that you are standing and you are walking and you are talking and you are a logical, intellectual individual, you are God's image.
Yeah.
Because if we weren't, then you could weed out things like, let's say someone with a mental retardation.
Yep.
Someone with some sort of a mental illness or a physical illness that they can't help. Well,
physical deformity.
If I'm just bearing God's image, if I'm just taking it with me,
yeah,
then I'm the failure. God's the great one, which in a spiritual sense is true, but all souls have been created for his honor and his glory.
Sure.
All souls.
That's where I used to get a little bit mad because it's one of those, is like, well, people that, have mental deficiency, that have some type of, physical deformity, physical deficiency, that it's one of those that a lot of times people will look at that as like God failed them or that God made a mistake. It's like, he didn't. He designed you for you.
He's in them.
He's in them. You are them. You are God.
Yeah.
God designed you to look like him and serve his purpose the way you are.
You are a perfect reflection who you are. Now, you're not perfect in your actions. You're not perfect in your spirit. You're not perfect in your salvific form.
Sure.
But the fact that we are here, the fact that we can do things that no other animal on the planet can do,
Nope.
is an exact reason why it is a more biblical and theologically accurate understanding to recognize us as as the image of God instead of simply bearing it.
Bearing it.
So God chose, instead of having an inscription for us to carry around, he chose that in his people would be his image.
I love that.
Mm.
I love that.
And that's just a tip of the iceberg with Miss Carmen Imes. She's incredible. Y'all check out Torah Tuesday. I don't know how far she's gotten, because the last time I checked, she like stopped at, I think, Exodus 24. I think maybe I was just going too fast, but there's probably 100 videos that go from Exodus 1:1 all the way to, wherever she is now. She might keep going, but yeah, she's got an incredible set of books, and she reads. Here's what's crazy: is she's got her own Hebrew Bible that she's translated herself.
Oh wow!
She reads out of her own Hebrew Bible, and it's based on decades of her Hebrew language knowledge,
sure,
and not just reading Hebrew now, but reading the ancient Hebrew.
Yeah.
It means totally different things.
Oh, sure.
And throughout Exodus, you guys will see that there are some things that we've read our entire lives that we had no idea was there. And when you read it in context to the original ancient Hebrew, you're going to find out that there is so much more meaning to these symbols that we see in the plagues, the symbols that we see in how God reveals himself on Mount Sinai, the symbols we see about how God tells the Israelite people to create the tabernacle later in the book. Oh man, there's just so much good stuff, rich stuff to soak up. And I can't wait to share that with you.
Yeah, it's going to be a good series.
It's going to be good stuff, guys.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate y'all listening in. Again, I want to give a shout out to Second City Beverage Company. They're great. Love their products. Same with Remedy. You guys that are listening to this, share it, like it, subscribe, send it out there. Send it to your friends. We're just different. Maybe you think this is stupid and you listen to it because it's a fun, entertaining thing to listen to. Cool.
We're good with that.
I'm down with it. But send the dumb entertainment to your friends too, because at the end of the day, we want the name of God to go out and be proclaimed, even if it's through the social media airways.
Yeah, spread the good news.
That's right. So you guys have your Holy Smokes group that meets Monday nights?
We're Mondays at 7. It's a little smaller group. I know we've talked possibly joining it to yours. I think as soon as Brandon's we figure out soccer, that kind of thing with his schedule. But right now it's Mondays at 7. We're meeting not this coming week, but the next week.
Very nice.
Mondays at 7. Brandon's out of town, so we're gonna take a week off.
So there's a Sunday night meeting in Decula. If you're from that area, reach out to us and we'll get you in touch with Aaron Brinkman. He would love to have you over at his house. They've got a great group of guys that meets Monday nights also, but they're at 6. Is the Jefferson chapter of Holy Smokes. They're a great group of guys as well. Really excited about what God's doing in that group. Tuesdays is when the other Winder location meets, and that's kind of right here in the shop where we're recording from.
Yep.
When it's bad weather. If not, we're gonna be outside enjoying the rays on the deck, smoking stogies and learning about theology. So I love you guys. Duke, thank you for being here tonight.
Appreciate the invite.
We rocked and rolled it tonight, and I truly believe God is honored by these conversations. We wouldn't have them if I didn't believe that, because we're interested in seeing the gospel proclaimed. We're not interested in being a hindrance to anybody. So I love you guys. Smoke it up, sip it up. Love Jesus.
Amen.
See ya.